welcome back to another episode of the Candid Cast, where we basically talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to rowing and coxing. So, of course, because you guys know me, we have another Dutch edition of the Candid Cast, where I butcher all the Dutch, and we have a lot of fun talking about awesome things in the Netherlands. So, without further ado, I'm really excited to introduce my co-host, Corne. Am I close?
Hi. Yes, you're pretty close. Yeah. I'm
Okay.
pretty curious about how you're going to pronounce my last name, because you did my front name, my first name, you did pretty well, but I'm pretty curious how you're going to do the last name.
De Koning.
Oh yeah, it's terrible. Yeah, just stick with the first one.
I know. Every time I say the Dutch, I have to throw that sound in there.
Yeah. But okay. Well, just to make it easier for you, my last name is De Koning, but it's the English translation for the king. So if that would make it easier for you, you could also just make it like that.
We'll just call you the king.
Perfect. I can live
Oh
with
my
that.
gosh. I tried so hard. Of course, I messed it up the first time I tried to add the sound in, because I usually miss that. So I tried it. It's actually much simpler than I thought. Okay.
Yeah, actually it is. Yeah.
Okay. Without further ado, again, let's dive right into this, because I want to hear so many cool things about para rowing. I've had one other para coxswain on the podcast, and I learned so much, and I'm really, really hoping that we can learn a lot from you today. So if you don't mind, start with telling us a little bit about how you got into rowing, and then how you found para rowing. So take us back to when it all began.
Yeah, well, it's about 2012 actually, because before I got involved with rowing, I did another. It's officially named adaptive sports. So I was doing wheelchair floorball before, and I was also playing national team, and I was just looking for another challenge. And with a team building activity from the floorball, we went rowing. And I kind of liked it, and the former coach was kind of impressed by the fact I could pull with less technique. I could pull pretty hard on the erg for 500 meters. So he was like, "All right, it's you have to give rowing a go and just kind of give it a chance." And he just actually before I had any experience, he was like, "Okay, if you just train hard, you've got a lot of potential to become kind of an elite athlete." So I was like, "Oh, okay, that's something special to hear, where you don't have any kind of experience with a sport."
No kidding.
No, yeah, but it was a cool challenge for me actually, and the wheelchair floorball, I always liked it, but it was more like a game sport. So you just had the same time every time. So it was halves of 20 minutes, and the one who scores the most wins. And with rowing, it's just you need a complete different mindset. It's just go from from start to finish. You just go full power, and it's just a complete other level of racing. And that challenge just I kind of got hooked on it. So, and that was around 2012, and it actually went like promised, went pretty quick, because I started rowing for the first time in January 2013, so on the water. And not much longer, I was already competing at the first World Cup, and later that year I was doing my first World Championship in Korea. So it was one big roller coaster in just a couple of months, just from nothing to fifth place finisher at the World Championship. So that's pretty bizarre.
Amazing.
Actually. Yeah.
So they don't call you the king for nothing.
Well, it kind of took some years before I got that name.
Okay, you had to earn your title.
Yeah, you have to earn it.
So the saying goes that rowers can't play ball sports. So that we get rowers from a lot of ball sports. Did we win you over because you were so with the ball sports?
Well, I wasn't the most technical player in the field, but I kind of didn't fear a challenge of just bumping into somebody, just blocking someone. I was more the kind of physical blocker and the one you don't want to kind of mess with. I was just going, sprinting with the wheelchair, just keep going, keep sprinting, and
the tough guy.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah, with a ball, I couldn't. I could do some things with the hockey ball, but I wasn't technically the best player there was. But I just could compensate with with enough energy and strength. So that kind of worked.
That's so awesome. And so you find rowing and things start happening really, really quickly. What is the training like? I always wonder, I mean, is it, because a lot of times we don't see, the different teams out there, like we're kind of in our own worlds, like we're out with an 8 or singles or whatever it is. What does the training look like for you, and how is that different from what you were used to before?
Well, when I was playing wheelchair floorball, it was we were with a team, so that had a weekly training, but it was once a week, and national organized training was actually once a month. So you kind of had 5-6 training moments a month, so that wasn't much, but everybody was just on himself just to make sure to get fit. And I always was like, I just wanted to be fit. So actually, since I was 15, 16, I just went to the gym nearly every day just to build muscle. And well, of course, like every boy wants just to look good on the beach.
Oh, yeah. Oh, heck yeah, your beach muscles.
Yes, of course. So I kind of worked hard for them, but with rowing, I was kind of soon find out that you just need more than big muscles to race. That those muscles could look good on you, but they completely useless when your condition just isn't as good as you hoped it was.
True.
Yeah,
True.
it was. I kind of remember the first erg trainings I did. It was just 2 weeks before the national championships. The former coach just called me. He was like, "All right, I kind of still believe in you, and I just want you to race there." And he said, "Well, I know somebody who could give you some training for the next 2 weeks, and then you can compete on an erg at the national championships." And it was like, all right, the first time it was just easy, getting used to it. So 2 times 20 minutes, and it was like, okay, that's kind of fine. And the other time I went there, it was just minutes on and minutes off, and I just could still remember I just hold on for 4 times, and the 5th time I was just like, all right, I'm gonna get sick. And I just went sick over there because I was like, oh, this is really another kind of sport.
Okay, so I have to interrupt you. Did you just say that you entered the World Championships on the erg with 2 weeks of erging?
No, the national championships.
Okay.
So the Dutch championships, and that was in 2012.
But with 2 weeks of erging.
Yeah.
I have no words. That's amazing.
I kind of had the advantage at that point that the para racing was still was 1,000 meters till then. So after Rio, the para races also became 2K, but until then it was just 1K. So that's kind of it's a big difference, because then you only have to suffer then for 3.5 minutes instead of small 7. And that's a big difference for somebody who isn't that much trained.
Yeah, I know. I went rowing this morning and I was like, oh boy, for telling people, what to do and asking a lot of them, I realized this is a very hard sport. So
yeah, but everybody's very willing to do it. So nobody,
yeah.
They would complain, but they all in there for themselves, and they kind of don't matter because they still show up every time. How hard you get them, it doesn't matter. They just show up the next time. It's like, all right, last time was tough, but kind of let's do it again.
Do it again. And so are you training with a group at this time? So now you've moved to rowing, and
Yes.
you're going to the national championships. You're training on the erg now. You have 2 weeks. How does that first race go on the erg? How'd that go for you?
Oh, yeah, it was pretty much tough because without zero experience on the racing and erg, it's just
This is amazing, by the way.
It's kind of everybody makes the same rookie mistake. It's just like go out as fast as you can, and then after 200 meters, finding out, oh shit, I'm out of strength and I can't anymore. And at that point, it's like no, and it's just I just kind of run into the wall, and it was just lost. It was kind of went straight into a survival mode, and I was like, oh, this is kind of horrible. And at the same point, I was like, oh, I kind of want to do it again, because every time you do it, it's like, okay, you want to improve. Every race, every official race you're going to do, you want to be faster than the last one. And every time you just want to improve and improve. And every time you're finished, you think like, okay, I can hurt myself a little more next time, because as soon as you're finished, you kind of forget the pain you had in the race, and after it's like, okay, it's kind of still hurt, but you always think like, okay, I could do more pain somewhere, or there's always some kind of improvement points. So that was kind of for me after that race. It was like I was kind of motivated because I just beat it to other guys that were rowing for a longer period, and I just beat them kind of big with a 15 seconds difference. So that pretty much motivated me to just getting better and better, and yeah, that kind of works well for me.
So okay, so you do okay. You do all right in this first one. You're beating some of these guys that have been doing this for a long time. What was it that you learned or took away or wanted to do better from that race? And then what did you change moving forward? So now you have your beach muscles, but you're like, okay, these beach muscles are not the best for erging. What changes?
Yeah, well, a lot of things, because at that point I just started to do some row specific training. So just doing longer pieces on the erg, just like the steady states, and just building up the strength, just making sure the body kind of adapts to the movement. And it kind of took a while. But the first thing you just learn after a race is just like, all right, you got to pace. Just for the next race, just one thing, you just got to pace. Just don't go out going completely bonkers in the first 200 meters, because you know you're not going to last till the finish if you just go out full speed.
Fly and die doesn't always work.
No. But for some reason, well, some people just keep believing it, and they think like, all right, maybe the next time it might work. Maybe I've got a good day, and maybe it might work. But yeah, that was one of the first things. Like, all right, maybe I have to fly a little less next time. but still, it's still very easy, because I think every rower relates. It's the first minutes just feels easy, and you were like, all right, perfect, no problem. And then you just go into the third or the fourth quarter, and it's like, oh shit, I made a huge mistake. That's just the same. I think every rower can relate, and even how experienced you are, there's always something that's triggering your mind just to go try to do better than you kind of practiced. You always wanted to do more and more, and well, with that just comes mistakes, and well, it's always hoping that you learn for the next time.
Exactly.
And otherwise, the simple thing is, if you don't learn, you just know you have to suffer a little bit more. That's the whole thing.
That's so true. That is so true. And so you started doing a lot more volume, right? So you're putting in a
Yes.
lot more volume on the erg at this point. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of what is it, 2x20, or what sets did you say you were doing? 2x20.
Well, that was for start, and then at the end it was just like 3x20, 2x30. So just doing a full hour of steady state on the erg, and also at that point I started rowing in the boat. So just doing the boat sessions. Of course, it was first a matter of learning the techniques in the boat before you could actually call it rowing. But you kind of pick up quickly enough, and it's still, although it doesn't look like rowing, the body is working and adapting to the volume of the training. So it always kind of helps, although it's not moving the boat as efficient as you like to.
Oh, sure, but we'll get there. And so you're doing this volume. Are you doing 2-a-days? Are you erging for roughly an hour and going on the water every day?
Well, at that point it was just like that was the very first start. So it was just training once a day, sometimes twice a day, but it was mostly kind of once a day. And it was I wasn't at that point a part of the national team. I was just one of the talents of the Paralympic team, and just scouted as a talent, and that just gave me the chance to train with the rest of the group. But further, it was just all most of the trainings I did at home, just in the gym. I kind of still believe that doing a lot of benches and rowers, seated rows, and working those muscles just kind of could help me. So it was just there wasn't pretty much structure in the training, but it kind of the body was improving and getting used to the rowing. So it kind of built up.
Absolutely. And so you're starting to train, you were scouted, first of all. So that's really interesting to me. I actually want to come back to that because I have a couple questions about how the team works. So you're starting to get in a boat now and spend a little bit more time in the gym doing some of those rowing specific lifts. This is kind of what you're known for in a way. I know your Instagram is packed with these insane photos of you just, I mean, I don't think you have an ounce of body fat. You are doing crazy lifts all the time. Your strength is insane. So what kinds of stuff are you doing? You mentioned a few. What else are you doing in the gym that makes you so fit to do this kind of rowing?
Well, I think I always had because I was already working. I was I think what was it like? I was 21 at the point I was started rowing, so I already did 6 years of strength training. So at that point I was already pretty muscular, but
But it was all beach
kind
muscles. I mean, the ladies could not. You couldn't keep the ladies away, right?
Yeah. So what it is now is just the movements that just that builds them up, just rows, and it's just making sure that every body type or every muscle just still gets the attention it's needing. So and what I do currently, it's just kind of a variation. Actually, I just kind of train every body part, and with exercises I do with my I make with my strength coach, and those could be a very big variety, but they all have to support the rowing. And well, as you can see on my Instagram, it's just mostly or the movement I kind of love the most is the pull-ups, because I don't know, I think it's one of the most impressive or the most cool exercises kind of there is, because it's just you kind of need loads of strength just to pull your body up, and there's so much variety you can put into it, and it's just these are the exercises. It's kind of it's keeps challenging just to go faster or just do it heavier and heavier, and I think that's one of my most favorite exercises, actually.
Okay, so let's say that we're beginners like myself. I'm trying to be able to do pull-ups.
Hmm.
What are some good tips for beginners or people that are not, as strong upper body wise
Hmm.
as you? What are some good starter tips to get to do more pull-ups?
To get more,
How about one or two, one
how
or
about
two
one, one or two?
beginners?
Yeah, yeah.
Beginners.
I think that's for most people already a big challenge. Um, it's just kind of focus on all the movements there is in the pull up. So it's just not only just the way up you do. It's loads of muscles you kind of work, and just focus on all of them. And you don't have to hang into a bar to do a pull up, because you can also, when that's too heavy, just um, lay on the floor and get a stick and just do do rows with it. So as
Okay.
long as, when you get better in rows, it's just all the muscles in the back that's working. So when the rows get better, you can just kind of getting more to the pull-up. So you can do it in a rack, but then seated, or your legs supported, so you can do a little bit better. You can do them jumping, so that you just hold up on top of the bar and just release very slowly, so that you do the opposite way around. And then at that point, you just kind of let your body adapt to the movement, and it's just building the strength it needs, um, without having the complete load of the body that you have to pull up.
That's incredible. Those are really great tips and a really good progression, I would think, if you're starting from scratch.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just um, more like, don't just start hanging on the bar and just try to
That's what I did.
pull up.
I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I can't do it.
Yeah,
I'm good.
and some people just get lucky. They can just kind of get their chin up on the bar.
Hmm.
But some people can get lucky. But it's just building, um, kind of build it from the basics, and just start on the ground, and just keep it easy. And um, well, it's I think the biggest thing is that you don't have to, kind of, you have to stay motivated, and it's just small steps, and every small step you take just brings you further. Um, but it's just a matter of patience. That's
Okay.
most of it. You
That's a
don't
really
you
good tip.
Yeah, you don't you I think it's not good to expect that when you start training now you can do 10 pull-ups next week. It just might take a couple of months, and with every pull-up you do, and every single one you add to them, it's just kind of a big victory you put.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. And so a lot of times too, we talk about being in the gym. Obviously, a lot of guys are doing, leg press, rows, all the things to build the muscle groups. But a lot of people skip over the little muscles and the little tendons, like doing band work and stretching or yoga. How do these other smaller exercises come into play when you're doing so much lifting and strength training? What do you do on the side to sort of protect your tendons, muscles, hip flexors, all of those things?
Oh, well, I don't do. I definitely should stretch more.
Okay.
But I'm kind of very lucky. I'm very flexible myself, so that's kind of, a lucky thing for me. I probably, or not probably, I really should stretch more. That kind of could help me, but it's just, well, for now it's just the kind of the weekly massages I had with the sports therapist we have at the training center, just helps me to relieve the soreness from the muscles. And um, well, that kind of helps me. And it's just, it's the full package. Of course you should stretch more, but you just have to watch your food and make sure your intake is enough on the daily base to make sure your body can recover to its fullest.
Yeah, that's a really big one. That's a really big one, nutrition. And you are also an incredible cook.
I would like to think so. Yes.
Your Instagram is, in addition to all of the muscle and pull-up pics, amazing food. So do
I kind
you?
of burn muscles and or burn calories and also burn charcoal for the barbecue.
That's so true. And so what are some of your favorite things to make just for yourself, just really quickly on the side? We could talk about food forever, but just for yourself, what do you really love to make after a good hard day of working out?
After a good tonight, I actually made chicken burgers on the barbecue. Yeah, so those were pretty good, and they tasted well. They are pretty good after a hard day of training. But actually, it kind of if I do if for kind of for cheat day, I'm currently more into making pizza. It's kind of my favorite thing to do now, but it's more just experiencing with making the dough more perfect, using different techniques for making the dough, and just kind of nearly somebody actually called me a pizza nerd today because I was he was like, we're talking about pizza, and I was like, well, it's a little bit more than just pizza. I like the kind of the way you can make it, and making the dough, let it rise for a couple of days to make it more better, and all the way. I could talk hours about
Exactly.
pizza, but we're not going to do that.
Okay, but I do have one question, very important. Does pineapple belong on pizza?
If you like to, it's possible, yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I kind of like it, actually, yes.
I love it. So
all right, cool. Because I was nearly afraid I'm going to see the no connection or podcast ended. I was like,
no, it's just a very polarizing. People are anti-pineapple or love it. So if you're a pizza guy.
It's a good thing you have time in the world to argue about those things.
That's so true. First world problems, right?
Yeah. So
exactly.
Perfect. Just discuss about pineapple. Perfect. No problem.
That's so true. Okay, so you have this crazy hard day of training. You're in the gym, you're making pizza with pineapple. Let's talk about the rowing. So I want to talk a little bit about the rowing, and not just what you're doing on the water, but sort of how para rowing works, because I think it gets put into this big category of just para rowing or the Paralympics. But can you break down a little bit, like what boat class you're in and what are you rowing and what does that mean on the water?
Yeah. Well, it's well, hate is a big word, but I just don't really like the word para rowing. It's just like, well, we're just rowing. We're rowing in a boat, so it's a boat, and it's rowing. But well, talking about the classes, you have 3 classes in rowing. So it's the PR1, PR2, and PR3. That's since 3 years actually, because before it was just other names, and those are the 3 boat classes. And for the Paralympics, they stand for it's the PR1 is for the well, mostly it's kind of paralyzed people. So those people only use the arms and shoulders. So they're fixed in a seat with a strap around their waist. And the PR2, so that's the boat class I row in. That's mostly for people with leg deficiencies. So people who don't have very good use of 1 or 2 legs. And that's only trunk and arms you use. And the PR3, it's well, full body rowing. It's just normal rowing like we know to, but people with visibility problems, but also mobility problems like knee, ankle, or just well, even if you're just missing a couple of fingers, you can already row PR3, because you're well, when you miss 3 fingers, it's kind of hard to scull in a scull boat. So then you can just do the you're classified for para rowing.
Interesting. Okay. And so what should we call it if you don't love the term
Well,
para
it's
rowing?
yeah, it's just rowing,
Just rowing.
kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, just rowing.
I mean, it
Kind of.
is.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
it is. It is what it is. Exactly. But when they call it, the Paralympics and stuff, we want to make sure that we're all
Yeah.
inclusive,
Well,
you know.
it's not like I said, it's not kind of hate, but it's just more why name it something else? Because the complete movement is kind of the same like all the other guys do, except some of us are a little bit more strapped, and it's all adapted to the possibilities of the body. But that's it. We still row the same boats, do the same, actually kind of do the same thing. So why
Absolutely.
kind of give it an extra name?
Yeah, absolutely. I love
But
it.
I think that kind of is more my kind of own vision on things, because like I'm officially I'm an adaptive rower, but I don't see myself as somebody with a disability, because if I look around me, I'm fitter than most of the people around me who are
You are the king.
able-bodied.
You
Yeah,
are the
kind of.
king.
Yeah. But I'm more fit than most able-bodied people they're walking around. So why just call it para instead of just kind of normal?
I
I
love
think that's
that.
more. Yeah.
I love that. That's such a good way to think about it too, that a lot of us on the outside don't think of differentiating like that. I mean, it's so interesting. That's a great way to look at it. And so what boat are you actually in? Like tell us about like who are you rowing with?
Yes. The boat I'm in is a mixed double. So the para rowing is actually the only has the only rowing numbers with mixed numbers. So the PR1, for example, or for explanation, the PR1 is in the single. The PR2 is for Paralympics, is in a mixed double, but we also have a single number for non-Olympic or non-Paralympic boat as a non-Paralympic boat class. And the PR3 is a Coxed 4, also mixed. So that's 2 male, 2 female. So I'm rowing in the mixed double with Annika van der Meer, so my rowing partner.
That's fantastic. And so have you guys been racing together for years, or were you always in a mixed double, or did you start in a single? Where'd
No,
you start?
I was always in the mixed double, but before or I went to Rio, so my first Paralympics, I went with my former rowing partner Esther, and after Rio, she retired as a rower, and I teamed up with Annika to row for the kind of we planned the next cycle till Tokyo.
For Tokyo. Oh, that's so exciting. And so how do you take all that endurance training onto the water? What kinds of work are you guys doing? A lot of volume on the water? What kinds of work are you doing on the water that translates to the erg?
Yeah, it's just the longer steady state session. So in winter it's mostly between 12, 16 kilometers for a session, or just longer bike rides, indoor training for longer times. I also like to use the ski erg. So the other torture machine of Concept 2. I also kind of love to use that machines for longer sessions, because although I'm pretty good at the erg, I just really kind of hate it.
Really? You don't love to erg?
No.
I know very few people that love the erg, although I have met people that say they do.
Some people think they're gifted to row very hard on it, but I think I have the talent to do it, but actually we don't erg pretty much actually. If I think now during the lockdown of the last month, I did pretty much erging work, but I think I only, even at that point, I was only erging 3, perhaps 4 times a week. So, which isn't pretty much. And actually in the season, every now and then, but mostly from March, April till September, we nearly don't do any erg sessions.
Oh, wow.
It's just, because, well, when the weather is okay, it's just go out and row. But when the weather is really, really bad, it's just like, okay, just go indoors. But even kind of, if possible, I rather do some indoor biking session instead of erging session, because
because it's erging.
kind of, and just after doing long sessions, it's just everything's kind of starting to scratch and just feeling sore, and it's just it's
So what else are you doing during quarantine? You're erging a little bit, cycling, doing the gym. Are you cooking and playing Call of Duty? Are you watching movies? What else are you doing during quarantine?
Well, I kind of did all the chores I already promised to my wife doing for the last 2 years.
The last 2 years.
Kind of, yeah. So I've even like, after the World Championships, I'm gonna do that. And the World Championship gone by, and I was like, I'm gonna do it after training camp, and still just keep going and going. And now she was like, all right, there's no excuse anymore now. You have to just do it. And it was kind of a big list, like, okay, just start here, and just a lot of small things I just had to do at home. And well, it was mostly also for training. It was just mostly bike rides I did. I just
okay.
I really enjoy biking, and I just live in an area that's which is very beautiful.
Country.
Yeah,
your entire country is meant for biking and beautiful scenery.
Yeah, so I spend lots of time on the bike just for longer sessions, and kind of also, of course, just a lot of grilling and barbecuing, and lots of eating.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the racing now too. So give me some of your highlights, some of your world championships, both erg and on the water, the Olympics, and then we'll go from there, because I want to hear about some of these amazing world championship titles that you have. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, look behind you. Look at these medals and things.
These are not mine, actually.
Oh, they're not.
No. No, those are not mine. No,
oh my gosh.
Because these are actually from my former rowing partner. So from Esther. Because usually we always train in Amsterdam. But I live 2 hours driving from Amsterdam. So in the season, I kind of have my second home here, and I can just have my own. I kind of have my own floor in this house. So it was at this point. This week I'm training in Amsterdam. So actually, these are all her medals she earned through all of the years of training.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
But it was this background or the other background. Those are sporting laundry that's drying. So
we can all relate to that too. We can all relate to that too. Exactly. Okay, so give us a little bit of rundown on some of your highlights, your world championships and your Olympics. What were they and how did they go?
I think the biggest highlight was the World Championships of Plovdiv, because there I became double world champion in 24 hours. So at the first day, on Friday, I became world champion in the single, and on Saturday we together became world champion in the mixed double. So for the for the first year we rowed together, Annika and I, in 2016. So after the Rio Paralympics, we teamed up together, and the first year we kind of won everything. So the first World Cup we rowed together. We were winning. The second, actually, all of the races of the World Cups we won, and we also won the World Championship. And kind of for the next year, our coach was like, "All right, we're gonna need some more challenge for us guys to kind of get more race experience, because para rowing doesn't have pretty much races during the year. We have 2-3 World Cups and a World Championship, so that isn't much. So our coach was just looking for ways to let us race more, and then we kind of came up with the idea to also participate in the single, because since that year it was also possible to race singles at World Cups and World Championships. So actually from 2018 we kind of raced every tournament double. So we raced them first in the single, and afterwards we also raced them in the double.
That's amazing. You get to double up.
Yes.
That's very cool.
Yeah, that's sometimes it's kind of pretty hard, because the 2018 World Cup in Poznan, now in Linz, the World Cup, it was just 2 hours between both of our finals, actually. So I just rode my first final. I won my first A final I won the A final in the single, and then just an hour and 15 minutes later, we just already warming up, or more kind of cooling down, making sure the lactate is out of the muscle, and just preparing for the extra race. And for another 2K we had to do in the double. So it was kind of heavy, but it never, it kind of never felt, it felt tough, but it also, it was for us a nice challenge just to get more race experience, making more racing kilometers, and just that feeling it's worth everything. It's just the feeling of racing and competing, and you can't stimulate that in training. The harder you try, it's just very hard to get that same feeling in training. So it was just kind of a good choice for us to do it. So yeah,
that's really neat. And so how many world championships do you have on the water versus the erg? And I mean ones that you've won, like you are the champion.
Yes,
on so many world champs.
On the water, I've got 4 world championship titles. So the first one was in the double in Sarasota, so in 2017. And then the next year in Plovdiv, we won double. And last year in Linz, I only became world champion in the double, in the single. And we got, we lost our winning streak in the double, actually, by becoming second, and got beaten by the Brits in the final of the double.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so that was kind of, not kind of, it was pretty tough to, that the winning streak was ended.
Yeah. And who are some of your big rivals? I always want to know, like, because I love a good rivalry. I'm doing my whole podcast series right now on rivals it's so fun. So who are some of your big rivals? Who do you look out for to race at some of these big races?
Yeah, well, it's a nice thing in para rowing. Since the last years, it's kind of developing more and more rowers are coming. And now, even with the possibility to race the single, you see there are more rowers coming, because when you have to race in a mixed number, there's always you have to make sure you have a rowing partner. So you always have to make sure you find a girl or a guy row it. But if one of the two is missing, there's always somebody not able to compete. And with the singles in our boat class added, there's for the first time actually there were loads of rowers. Like they had a B final at the World Championships. So with 12 rowers in the single scull, which is kind of pretty amazing, because for loads of years it was just for the doubles we just had 6, 7, sometimes 8 competitors. So it wasn't very, very busy. And now with extra boat classes, there's much more competitors, which you can see the level of the sport is growing, and athletes are getting better, and that really stimulates each other to row harder.
Mm-hmm. So just to interrupt you really quickly, would you say that you are seeing this growth in the sport because of adding extra boat classes and because people are allowed to double up into different races? So there's just more opportunity to race, which brings more people in?
Oh, well, I think...
or what's making it grow?
Kind of doubling up was always a possibility. Like
Okay.
the Kiwi pair did that in Amsterdam. They were racing the coxed double, the coxed pair, and the usual pair. So you can always double up. That's kind of your own choice of insanity. But I think
awesome.
Just adding the boat class and making sure that no athlete is remaining on the sideline, that gives it the extra opportunity. Like doing the single boat class, just don't do mixed boat classes, just men or just women. That gives more possibilities just for athletes, because if you look at the our field, so the PR2 field, it's mostly men that's racing. If you look at the women's class, it's half as much. So it's like and that's kind of a sign, because if you keep the rowing mixed, there's still only a small number of people who are able to row. But when you just split it up, there's always more chance.
Do you think all rowing should add mixed events? Like even at the Olympics?
No, absolutely not.
How come?
No, well, with all the respect, I think there's a big difference between men and women. I would like to see my rowing partner as big and strong as I am, but I know that's impossible. And there's always a big strength difference between men and women. So I kind of don't think it's I don't, fairness is not the right word, but you don't do any good to the athlete's potential.
Mm-hmm. That's a good way to put it. And so how was your experience in Rio?
Yes, well, your first Paralympics is just, it's kind of out of the world. It's just like, whoa, what's happening? It's the thing. Kind of everybody who is sporting or in a sport club, kind of everybody dreams of going to the Olympics. And for years, every 4 years or every 2 years, you just see it everywhere on television. It's the biggest event in the world, and just like this, and you are a part of it, and that's kind of unbelievable. It's just more the thing like the thing that always seems to be untouchable is within hand reach, and that's just an amazing experience. So,
and how was your race? This is so exciting. I mean, I'm excited just listening to your energy about it.
That was kind of good. We became 4th, so we won the wooden medal. So that's kind of bad, but it's yeah, it was really something I look back on very proud, because it's we just did the best race together we ever did. So every piece of the puzzle just fall apart at the moment it was needed to. So and when you kind of manage to get it at that point, it's just it's an amazing feeling. And although it wasn't rewarded with a medal, it's just the experience, but also just the feeling of being there and doing your bestest performance. That's kind of priceless, actually.
Absolutely. And so did you go into this kind of keeping an eye on the Brits again, since they had beaten you before? Were you kind of like really wanted to beat them?
Yeah, well, they kind of they teamed up in 2015. They kind of were there, I think, and in 2016 they became Paralympic champion. And for the last years they weren't competing because of personal issues and injuries. And well, last year they just were there, and we always, although we were the favorite crew, we always knew, like, okay, it's just not just an extra boat that's coming to the boat class. It's like it's the Paralympic champion of 2016 you're racing up to. So it's kind of, it's not the first one who's added up. You have to do any good to get the best result.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so this experience at Rio almost kind of turns into something a little bit like your first ERG national championship, where you may not fly and die. I don't think we saw the fly and die, but you learn something and you take that forward. So now you're working towards Tokyo.
Yes.
Yeah. And so,
but it's different because as for Tokyo, we're in a very much different role. Like until Rio, we always became at our World Championship. So in Korea, in Amsterdam, and in France, we became 5th at all the World Championship, and we stepped up one place, which was for us perfect, because we nearly felt it like we were sort of cursed for the 5th place, because every World Championship just
again
the 5th place, yeah, and we just had good seasons, and we also we won some medals during World Cups, so you kind of do the sort of doing the maths for yourself, and you kind of got disappointed if you becoming 5th again, and just improving that one place for Rio was an amazing experience. But since after that, we were kind of the golden double, so we were unbeatable till last World Championship. So for next year's Tokyo Paralympics, kind of eyes are on us. So you go there with a different energy, because you're one of the favorites to win the medal, or you're a favorite for a medal, and also kind of one of the favorites for a gold medal. So it's kind of different approach to a tournament you have then.
And does that feel like pressure to you, or is that exciting, or both?
Yeah, a little bit of both. It was for me. The losing last year was for me very. It was more like a motivation, just to train harder, improve, getting more fit, or trying to get more fit, and just working on work your weaknesses harder and harder, and kind of make sure you get your revenge next year, and you're on the good side.
On the
So
good,
it's
absolutely,
yeah. So
absolutely.
it's for me more well, it's motivating just to well, keep working every day.
Absolutely. And so what is the mood like when you're sitting on the starting line at one of these big races and you know that you are so motivated to perform? What are you guys lighthearted, or is it very quiet and stressful? Are you making jokes? Like, what is it
Now,
like for you
yeah,
guys?
um, it's kind of a bit of both. I know Annika could be quiet and stressed at some points, and I'm always kind of looking around and
You're
making
thinking about your
jokes
next
and
pizza. I'm
yeah,
just kidding.
yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Is it with
Did
or
I leave
without
the grill
pineapple
on?
tonight? Yeah,
Did I leave the
yeah,
barbecue on?
yeah. Well, I'm at the start line. I'm just kind of more chill, and I just um, like to suck up what's happening around me. I just kind of um, enjoy it. So it's also kind of my role at the start line, just to make sure everybody stays cool, that Annika doesn't feel any stress, just relaxed and kind of well, that there's no pressure. Kind of course there is
Yeah,
pressure, but
sure.
I usually kind of more feel the pressure the last half an hour till we get to the boat. Oh, it's just um, it's just you're racing the race in your head, and you kind of
I relate to
um,
that for sure.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
It's always
just
before. It's
you
not when you're really
yeah you
on the water as
yeah.
much.
When you, yeah, at the point I'm underwater, it's like, all right, this is what I just trained for, and um, that's for me. That's the point where I feel that kind of I'm in charge of what I'm doing, and then when I'm land, it's just all um, well, not kind of clear. And when you're just in the boat, it's like, all right, we're gonna row, we're gonna do our drills, and
Hmm.
from that point, it's just like, okay, it's
Just do your thing.
yeah, just in an hour from now, um, you can check out your pizza.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. It all comes back to that pizza. I love it.
Absolutely.
And so I want to know too, before we kind of start to wrap up, I have a few more questions, but I hear from a lot of para rowers, I guess, for lack of a better term, that they actually don't, like you, love the term, and also sometimes the way they're treated at races. Do you ever feel like things are a little bit different, whether it's at a World Cup, or, are you given poor lanes or bad practice times, or does it ever feel like you're not a priority at any of these races?
Well, yeah, well, I wouldn't say it's like you're not a priority, and um, I think that's not the point. But I think training times are sometimes um, well, at kind of stupid times. Like your training time is from 6:30 till 8 or something. So early morning, or from 1 in the afternoon till 2 on the hottest moment of the day.
Mm,
It's just all on kind of stupid times, but yeah, well, kind of it is what it is.
yeah.
But well, I think when it comes to para rowing, just mostly all the volunteers and all the people who's on the water to that try to make sure everything is okay. Um, they always extra alert when well, when the para rows are going on the water, because for some reason they always well, they wanted to help, and they wanted to make sure everything's going good. And I think for some reason, which also is pretty logic, they kind of afraid for accidents to happen and things that's going
Hmm.
wrong, and people they kind of afraid that the para rowers are not able to help themselves when some things happen. And I think
Mm.
that's mostly the image there is of para rowing, that most of the athletes needs loads of help, and all the volunteering, and I think that's something we have to kind of stop thinking about. Like most para rowers can just do their own thing.
They're just rowing.
They know their way around. Yeah, and they have their own team of people that helps them, and kind of that's enough.
That's really interesting. I didn't even think about all the volunteers and stuff that were out there and just the impression that it's given.
But also the fun thing actually is last year we got called off at the World Championships when we were training, and they wanted to give us a warning because we were training at the para training time. So we were like, sorry, we're para rowers. And I was like, oh, all right, we didn't notice like you're para rowing.
Oh my gosh,
that's so
amazing.
That was that's kind of a big compliment for the for the rowing you're doing. That it's looking from a distance like it's just regular rowing with using the legs and kind of we only using our trunks and body, but we just can make the length that makes it looks like it's just regular rowing.
Amazing. That's amazing. And so what is something that spectators could maybe learn about para rowing that makes it a little bit more exciting to watch? Like something that we wouldn't think to look for that makes it really fun to watch. I know I'm putting you on the spot a little bit. Something interesting, like an extra challenge or something that we just wouldn't know would be going on behind the scenes.
It's pretty tough. Well, I think it's just that everybody needs to remember that to get at the point where all those rowers are and performing at World Championships, there's tons of work done just to get their fitness. And although it's adaptive rowing and it always doesn't look like usual rowing, like the big guys of 2 meters and 100 kilos. Just the para rowing guys, all the athletes just do mostly the same volume of training. I think that's just something to remember, that they do the same volume of training. And they do the same with less body and just only sometimes just only arms. They just pulling over
adapted.
The water. Yeah.
Just adapted. Interesting. Oh, that's so good. I love that. And so what's something that not only world rowing, but maybe federations or even people like myself can do to help put adaptive rowing on the map or make it more visible, give it more PR? What does it need to get eyes on this incredible sport?
Well, that's a tough question, actually. I think.
Does it need more PR? Maybe it doesn't need it.
Well, I'm kind of not sure. If you now we're racing the 2K races, it's all part of the program. When until 2016 we were racing the 1,000 meters, and not all courses were built for that. So you still started at the start. And after 1,000 meter, your race was gone, and then just the last 1,000 meters till the pontoon, you were just pedaling light. And actually nobody saw the race because the grandstands are always at the finish, but there was nobody finishing because everybody already finished at the 1,000 meters, which made it pretty weird for racing. But now we are just because we're racing just the full 2K. The grandstand still is at the finish line, so everybody still stays there just to cheer for their favorite rowers. So I'm kind of not sure. And I
think that's a good point.
If you look at other para sports, is that rowing is one of the few sports that's included in a normal world championship. If you look at cycling, it's just that they all have their own cycle events. They don't include with just the normal Olympic rowing or the Olympic cycling. It's just rowing is just Paralympic and Olympic classes. It's just all together in one tournament. which makes it something very big and something very unique. You don't see it in athletic. They did it last year, I thought, in Holland, a kind of mixed event, and they were kind of everybody was cheering because they were like, oh, we're getting a mixed event, Paralympic and Olympic, it's all together, it's all included. And I was like, well, we already do it for years, so it's for us. When we were going to Rio, it was kind of weird because that was for us the first tournament. We didn't travel as a big group. The para rowing in Holland, it's just it's the double where we were rowing in, or in Rio, we only had 2 boats. We had a PR1 boat, so the single, and we had a double. So we only had 3 athletes. And usually at World Championships, we just go as the Dutch squad, with 50, 60 athletes. And now we're just traveling like a small group. And it was like, oh, this is weird, because usually it's just a big group and a big event. And for us, the Paralympic was a small event. It was part of something very big, but as a rowing event, it was just very small if you compare it to a World Cup or a World Championship. So I'm kind of not sure if it's, of course, extra publicity should be good for the sport, but I think we can also be very proud of the fact that para rowing is already completely included in Olympic sports.
That is a really great way to put that, and did not even think of that. The 2K thing with the grandstands and stuff, I didn't even think of that. I think that will help.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Yes.
Because
well,
it's
a nice thing to finish when somebody's cheering for you, because everybody's screaming you through the last 400 meters, which are mostly the toughest. You just you are moving to the cheering sounds, and that kind of motivates. But my first race was so in 2013. We were finishing at the 1,000-meter line, and there was nearly my sister, because she lives in England, she was there, and she was cheering there at the finish line for me with the family. But it's actually, that's it. I kind of had my private spectators at the 1,000-meter lines for the finishing, but for everybody else, it was just 1,000 meters finished, over, and you just row to the grandstand for the last 1,000 meters. But there was for the spectators, there was kind of nothing to see at that point, because there was just no racing going on.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for your time explaining all of this to me. This is absolutely incredible, and I sure learned a lot, not only about fitness, pizza, how this works, the boat classes. I learned a lot today. I really hope listeners do too. And my last question that I love to ask all of my co-hosts is, what do you love about rowing? Why does rowing light your fire?
I think it's loads of things, actually. It's more just being, it's kind of being in the moment in the boat, and just feeling the boat flows under you, and just it's kind of the chase to the perfect stroke. That's
Ooh.
that sounds very deep, actually.
T-shirt. Oh, that needs to be a T-shirt. That's good. I'm going to make bumper stickers or something. That's good. The chase to the
I want 40%. Sorry.
I mean, that's fair. You did come up with it.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I let you do the rest of the work, but I want 40%.
Oh, okay. Perfect. I'll get back to you on that. Yeah. I'll get back to you on that. All right. Well, honestly, thank you so much for your time here. I really learned a lot, and obviously following you on Instagram. And please remind everyone what your Instagram is. Where can we follow you?
I hope you're gonna do a kind of sort of shout out, but it's it's my name, Cornelis. I think when I think about it, it's pretty difficult to pronounce in English. How it's like at CR Nailus. But I think you really have to do a shout out or just tag it. I think that's the easiest part, because it's going to be pretty tough to explain to the watchers at home.
Exactly. Okay, we'll put it in the show notes for sure. But I'm really hoping that you come out with a cookbook soon. And honestly, the best of luck in your upcoming training. And I hope that we can follow up with you again when we get closer to the Paralympics, because
That should be cool.
So cool.
I really enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad. And everyone else that's listening, obviously you can tune in on Instagram and then on YouTube here at the Candid Cox. Thank you again so much. Be sure to follow Corne, and we will see you guys next time. Bye.